Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 40, in which you can see Corbin transforming from passive schoolboy or student to becoming an adult. He becomes aware of conversation, and what looks normal in a conversation can in fact be controlled to achieve a purpose. And we show him some examples of that Alexander was using in their dialogue. It is the first steps towards proper conscious competence in conversation control, which is a big subject, and I'm just showing you a quick picture up here of what it involves. People have said to me, don't show them that, Graham, it'll scare them off. But I have enough trust in your attitude to this learning process to believe that you need to know there's a lot to learn.
So I yield that space to you, not in a I yield it. I intentionally...
I'm intrigued to find out what the rest of these are, because the first two have been things that I haven't been aware of for my whole life.
Yeah, well...
So number one is...
as I say, normally I wouldn't disclose this stuff, but we've done enough, and we've got enough in the can that you can... That means we've got enough on tape, that now you know about them, you'll be able to see them. And I'm not doing it for you to, like, look how clever I am, I've been playing all these tricks. I've been doing it
No, I don't think by any means you are. I think, I'm not saying that I've just been, oh, look at Graham the smart ass, he's exposing himself so I can be like, I've been steps behind for 18 years. But I think you're telling me because they're genuinely useful tips. That's why you've been using them.
It's more than that. They are very useful techniques. They're good for you to learn. But I want you to use them. I don't want you to be vague back to me, or you can. That'll be up to you. I want you to feel truly empowered and equal and ready to challenge something. So if I say something and it's wrong, I want you to learn how to handle that.
Corbin's self-confidence is now at a level where he can start building conversational control soft skills. These are not usually taught to people until they are in management roles. You will find stuff on YouTube about how to give feedback and how to do appraisals, and these are designed for managers trying to encourage their staff. They're well worth watching, actually. I don't know why, but it just happens to be an area that's quite well covered on YouTube. So it's how to give feedback to people in a positive way and how to do appraisals so they can start assessing themselves and setting a plan for how they're going to do better. I believe the same soft skills should be taught at a much earlier stage in life as part of developing a person's social intelligence, because if you know how you're going to be given feedback and you know how you're going to be appraised, you can participate far more constructively in that particular dialogue.
And how to correct me. So if you watch the first 4 minutes of your session with Alexander, you'll see him using one of these, two of these techniques.
After I've watched that, I've watched all the way through that.
Yeah.
But obviously we hadn't done this yet.
Yeah.
So I'll maybe have a watch back.
You watch the way he doesn't so much correct you, but the bit where he does two things. First of all, he points out you're banging the table.
Success.
I have a tendency to be a complete ludicrous oath when on
That's
camera. I
good.
can try and
That's what we want.
keep that.
Don't be
somewhat
afraid to be a ludicrous oath or to talk for days. That's the plan.
Alex said that right at the start to put Corbin at ease and establish that the dialogue is one between peers, that's people on the same level, and not to think of him as a teacher. The meta-language is also to give Corbin permission to question and challenge. How you manage permissions, getting them in the first place or giving them if you have the power to give permission, is a soft skill in itself. It's not well covered, actually, or well understood, but it's fundamental to social interaction. So start thinking a bit more yourself about whether you are seeking permission to do something or go somewhere, and whether you're giving permission to people. Often in sales, you have to start off with, "Can I ask you a personal question?" or something like that. And that gives you the permission to do it. In sales, again, we call that a hunting license.
Day 5, I suppose, of the University of Life. That's what Graham has named this course. This is Alex. This is Graham's oldest son. And we're about to talk about some of Alex's expertise.
Things and stuff,
Indeed.
yes.
As you've probably heard Graham mention 100,000 times, Alex did a talk on tokenomics, which is your own idea.
That's right. Yes. That's sort of a methodology for understanding human motivation that I came up with a few years back. By the way, in terms of little aside, you can probably hopefully edit this out, but every time you lean on the table, it's going to wobble the camera.
Oh.
So the stuff that we currently have going on, there's a few times where you've got table
wobble
disturbance. Okay. So, all right.
No more table disturbance.
Okay. Do you want to do a restart with our wobbles, or do you want to keep going? Because we can do both.
Let's keep going.
Okay,
and then
good.
if needs be, I can redo one.
Yes, because like I find going backwards and forwards over video
Yes.
content to be
Yes,
excruciating.
I didn't realise that the...
Yeah.
Yes, it does indeed do a table. As,
All right. Okay. Yes. So tokenomics, broadly speaking,
Gently.
I was banging the table.
Yeah, but there's a way of handling that. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not the facts of it, it's the style.
No, that's true. He didn't just say, stop banging the table. He was like...
Yeah.
He said, are you aware that you were moving the table very slightly? Or that was something like that.
Well, here's the point. Here's the point. Watch it again and watch his precise words and the style and the way he does it. Okay? And once he's pointed it out to you and you've taken the appropriate corrective measures, then he offers you a choice. Do you want to start again or not? All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then whichever answer you gave, he would go with and say, yeah, that's a good answer. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he gave you the choice, because it's a win-win for him, and he's got to rebuild you from pointing
Where he's knocked me down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you answer, no, let's press on, then he embraces that answer and says, yes, I really hate. He not just himself down.
No, yes, he agrees with what I am.
He doesn't just agree, he builds on it.
Yes, yes.
He really buys in on it. So buying in on another person's decision is a very powerful technique as well.
Man, this whole time, I just thought I was having conversations with people.
My hope is this will be a moment of conscious awareness, and he will start to realize just how much other people are controlling and influencing his thinking, possibly for his good, but often to manipulate him for their own purposes. Other people do this completely subconsciously, but you can develop a conscious awareness of it and build the soft skills. With conscious awareness, understanding what is really going on, plus soft skills, he will be able to take control of his own life. In following sessions, we can help him clarify what he wants to do with his newly empowered life. Meanwhile, I do encourage you to watch some of those YouTube things on giving feedback, because this whole business is covered in that space. In the next minute, you will see Alexander give the feedback, spot Corbyn's passive withdrawal in that he leans back and even puts his hands behind his back. And then Alexander fixes that and brings him back into the peer level dialogue by mirroring with joint nodding and also laughter, which is a very powerful tool. In the Alexander Corbyn dialogue, you will see Alexander describing how laughter is used in what's called reframing of a conversation, and how improvisation creates an environment in which permissions are easy to get and easy to give. Those dialogues also cover the concept of social cost, which is what happens if you do something without getting appropriate permission.
By the way, in terms of little aside, you can probably hopefully edit this out, but every time you lean on the table, it's going to wobble the camera.
Oh.
So the stuff that we currently have going on, there's a few times where you've got
I've
table
wobbled it.
disturbance. Okay, so all right.
No more table disturbance.
Okay. Do you want to do a restart with our wobbles, or do you want to keep going? Because we can do both.
Let's keep going.
Okay,
and then
good.
if needs be, I can redo one.
Yes, because like I find going backwards and forwards over video
Yes.
content to be
Yes,
excruciating.
I didn't realise that the...
Yeah.
Yes, it does indeed do a table. As,
All right. Okay. Yes. So tokenomics, broadly speaking,
If you're looking for a balanced relationship and a teaching relationship, but then as a teacher, you've got to use some of these techniques. Otherwise, you're intimidating, and the other person needs to start thinking for themselves. This is what it's all about. It's thinking for yourself. How does the teacher achieve that? A normal education does not achieve that.
no, it does not.
They set you tasks to do, but it's their task that you're doing for them. It's like people don't like homework and stuff like that. And some of the more liberal schools they want you to find tasks that you want to do. So,
1, vagueness.
Yeah.
2,
being wrong
being incorrect.
Yeah.
3,
is having a questionable opinion. You can say,
it's not what it says. What?
It does, yeah.
Exaggerate.
No. Oh, that's 3. I've jumped to questionable opinion. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We can do exaggerate.
I thought that you were being wrong for me to...
No. Good point. And that's the problem with
Yeah.
disclosing all this. Okay, so let's do them in the order they're here.
Well,
right?
I'm not trying to read the notes.
No, that's fine. I don't
honestly
care if
thought
you
that
do.
was,
That's fine. That's good.
I
I like it. You're growing. You pointed something out.
Yes, it just wasn't one of the deliberate ones that time, but it wasn't even a mistake. We just skipped a little.
Yeah, but that's what I want. That's why we're doing this session,
Yes.
to get us up to the point where the learning process changes.
The learning process is become aware, analyze, using critical analytical thinking, understand, and then decide how you are going to develop your intelligences to take advantage of what you now are aware of and have a degree of understanding. And as you go up the learning curve, you will understand that new thing or concept better and better as you work towards fulfilling yourself in your own life. There is no end point for learning unless it's something like a fact about, what's the atomic weight of hydrogen or something like that. But in life, people are so complicated that there is no end to how much you can learn. What you can do is learn enough not to be exploited, and then to learn even more, and finally reach a stage where everything you learn, you're learning not from necessity, but from choice. And that is where real happiness lies, and indeed wisdom. But wisdom is a very elusive matter. You can feel wise today and the next day, because learning is so continuous, you don't feel quite so wise. Anyway, party on.